Hello, my little ghostlings. Tonight I'm going to take you on a haunted trail that leads from coast to coast and culture to culture, following one very familiar ghost. She's always dressed in white, and she's always there, wailing, weeping, waiting, and if she gets a hold of you, you'll never be seen again. Let's start with the most infamous story of them all, La Llorona, the Weeping Woman. She's most popular in Mexico and the Southwest United States, although she appears in many different forms throughout Latin America. The summation of her story is that she killed her children either in a fit of rage or jealousy or heartbreak over a lover, and then she proceeded to try to follow them into the afterlife by taking her own life. Some say, however, that the locals found out what she did and they're the ones who took her out. Either way, she is doomed to spend the rest of eternity looking for her children, whom she will never find. Now, some say this is a generational curse. This woman in white crying, Ay, mis hijos, all my children. Some say she doesn't say anything at all, she just cries. Others say that it's not a generational curse, it's a warning of imminent death or harm to someone that will come within 3 days. Now, those of you who have been following my channel have already heard the story about the banshee, and that sounds rather familiar, doesn't it? Now let's talk about the woman in white off the haunted road 99 in California. It's a highway that stretches right through the Central Valley. Now, some people see this woman in Bakersfield and Fresno, and they say that that's actually La Llorona. My belief is that it was never La Llorona, but because of the immigrant population there working the fields in America's breadbasket, as they call it kind of morphed into La Llorona because of the similarities, which is why she's made the list here tonight. See, before that, most people say that this is the spirit of a woman who died in a horrible car accident, but that her body, unfortunately, has never been retrieved. And now, when they see her, she's usually limping along the road or she stands in the middle of the road. Just standing there, usually in snowy conditions. No one talks about seeing her in the best of weather. It's usually inclement weather. And some people say she'll step out just in time to cause a car accident. Now, the reason for that is usually because, or at least the belief is usually because, that she's trying to direct you to where her body is laying, and people just can't find it for some reason. And they may never find it because of the wildlife that's out there. What we do know is that when the police show up, California's Highway Patrol, to try and find what they saw, any traces of the woman, if this is just some sort of prank, someone dressing up as a lady in white, they find no evidence that anyone else is on the road. Now, of course, you might think that the person is intoxicated and they're just coming up with an excuse for having crashed and the police having to investigate, but it's too precise. It is always the exact same location to the point where the police, they don't even question it anymore. Now let's go from California to the deep south, specifically Cajun country in Louisiana. In this area, we have a woman known as Madame Grandois. It means Lady Long Fingers, and she has very long fingers. They're like claws. Some say they're like hooks. Either way, these long fingers are perfect for snatching children. See, she's been used as a cautionary tale to get children down in the bayou to behave themselves and to stay out of the swamps. I don't think I need to tell you how dangerous it is to have a child wandering around and exploring in a swamp. So along came the tale of Madame Grandois. See, she would grab you with those long claws, interlace her fingers, and you were locked in and you couldn't get out. And then you'd never be seen again. But then there are other versions that say she was a wrongfully accused woman who was executed for her crimes. Other people say that she was confined to the attic by an abusive husband, that he tried to hang her, and he had assumed that he had succeeded in murdering her, but he hadn't. See, she managed to claw her way up the rope, up the noose, and to hang from the rafters, but she still couldn't get down. So she hung there for days, dying slowly and in agony until her fingers stretched to an unnatural length. Now, as the legend goes, someone later bought that home and went up into the attic, as of course you would do. You just bought the house, you want to check out the attic. They go up to the attic, find some old stuff, don't think anything of it, and they find the corpse of a woman whose fingers were unnaturally long. Now, it was the child who found her, not the adults. And this child had nightmares because although the authorities came in and cleared out her body and the family had someone come through to bless the house, a tree tour, as they say, But the child kept hearing the woman in the attic, her long nails tapping and scraping as she slid her body along the rafters of the attic. And then one day, the child looked up at the roof of their bedroom and saw her eye peering through a hole she had managed to poke through his roof, his ceiling in his bedroom, with one of her long fingernails. It sounds very, very close to Teke Teke, doesn't it? Let's drive down to Mississippi along Old Cahaba Road and other forgotten highways. There's a woman who appears there just before dawn, dressed in white. Drivers have reported picking up a woman dressed in white as a hitchhiker, and the moment she gets in their car, she disappears. And those who are smart enough to know better than to pick up a hitchhiker at dawn, they find that they have no choice because their headlights begin to flicker, and sometimes their car will even stall. Now, this is usually when there's no one else on the road, no other witnesses to what they are experiencing. Now, if they still don't get out of the car, they'll notice that the hitchhiker will turn and walk back into the woods, disappearing mid-step. Now, the general consensus is that this woman may have been murdered by a groom, may have killed herself because she was rejected, may have been hit by a car. No one knows how she got there, but the belief is that she's buried somewhere off that road and has yet to be found. And her goal is to have someone find her remains to finally bring her to rest. Sounds a lot like the woman off of Highway 99, doesn't it? And then there's La Siguanaba from Central America. Now, this one gets a little convoluted. Some say that this woman who has really long black hair and is dressed in white will be seen bathing in waterways like a river or a lake. But some say she's not bathing, she's killing her children. See, some believe that she, like La Llorona, is a woman who murdered her children. But not just any children, the children of a man who assaulted her. Now, some say this isn't what happens at all, so you'll have to decide which story you want to believe. But the general consensus from the people that I've spoken to says that she was a woman who was sexually assaulted, forced to bear her children, couldn't stand it any longer, decided to drown the children in some body of water. And as a result, now she is cursed to spend the rest of her life haunting the roads, haunting the waterways because of what she did. Now, the men who come along are looking to rescue her. She's still angry, she's a vengeful spirit, so she takes them with her. Or they seek to have a romantic moment with her, at which point she's triggered and remembers how she got into that situation in the first place, and she punishes them. Now, some men see her wandering down the road, nowhere near the water, but not too far away from it. So, of course, they offer her a ride. But when she turns around, she has the face of a horse, or worse, a rotting corpse. Now, these men are driven to insanity. Nobody believes them. They're never right in the head. And some are saying that these men, for the rest of their lives, they live an endless loop where all they see is her face. But like with the other tales, such as the woman in white in Mississippi, you should know better than to pick up a woman off the side of the road, the same as in the 99. And the same as with La Llorona, the more she cries, the closer she cries, the further away she is. And of course, the further away you hear her, the closer she is. She's almost like a conglomerate of all the ladies in white, with the exception of Madame Grandois. What is about the woman in white that haunts so many cultures all over the world? Is she real? Is she a cautionary tale of vengeance, of justice, a symbol of grief? No one really knows, but one thing's for sure, if you ever see a woman in white, maybe don't stop to pick her up.